So let me start talking about what is the microbiota vault. And industrialization is a tendency that is global, is happening everywhere and very fast. And through industrialization, all the cultural diversity, social practices, food production, diet, and medicine are converging into a single lifestyle. And in this single lifestyle, despite controlling many infectious diseases, having extended life, uh, comfort, etc., many good things about being urban, we can see on the left-hand side how well we are controlling infectious diseases, for example, since the 1950 when the antibiotics appear. But this is not for free. It's coming with a cost. We are trading diseases. And as the infectious diseases go down, chronic diseases that have to do with immune system or metabolic system are increasing. This is a trend that was not seen before in human history. And there are two hypotheses to explain this rocketing of the chronic diseases. One is the hygiene hypothesis, the first one, and the second is the disappearing microbiota hypothesis. The hygiene hypothesis states that it's exposure to the environment based on the fact that farm kids have less asthma and allergies. The disappearing microbiota hypothesis refers to human microbes, microbes that are only living in humans or are human adapted. Alteration in transmission of these human adapted microbes disrupt the regulatory pathways of development in early life. We think that both hypotheses are true and microbes are behind them because there is this, they coincide with the natural developmental exposures. Babies, when they are born through a birth canal that is full of good bacteria that are busted by milk, and then a lot of maternal infant transmission from the skin, from the mouth, especially when the baby is very small, that has to be carried. So that proximity to the mom transmits bacteria. And then later on, those babies really explore the environment very intensively. So the non-self bacteria. In our urban world, there are many stressors that impair transmission of human microbes, but not only that, also impair exposure to natural microbes of the soil, etc. And many studies have shown an association between urbanization or westernization, industrialization, and loss of diversity in the gut of humans. This is from one of our studies. The indigenous people in a group in Venezuela that was first contact by the time of the study, they had twice the diversity of US people here in yellow, twice. So the United States has lost a lot of diversity and the trend continues. We know which bacteria are disappearing, at least in the intestine of humans with industrialization, because we can sequence and see them. And this is a very interesting graph from a paper, the Smith's paper, which is from the Sonnenberg lab in which we collaborated. What they did, they just simply placed the PCO1 value in the principal coordinate analysis of every microbiota publication that had deposited sequences by 2016. What happened when they ordered that in PC1 was a spontaneous ordering by lifestyle. So on the top left-hand side of the PCO1, all these jungle savanna societies, South America or Africa were there, then the rural, and then all the urban societies are on the right. Even Japan is there, which Japan is in a ways transculturating and more slowly. They have a lot of traditional practices still. So what this shows is that urbanization shapes the human microbiota in the intestine. And as Sonnenberg has shown in his review in Science, it alters the microbiota functions. And basically, what happens is that inflammation is increased and also calorie storage. The growth and deposit of fat is increased. So the antimicrobial use is very extensive in urban societies, not only in medicine, but also on the farm, the way we produce our animals and grow our plants is with full effect of antimicrobials that have effects on bacteria. So this is a one health concept, is the vision of human health that includes environmental health. We are observing disappearing ecosystems that are natural ecosystems, disappearance of natural crop varieties, and impoverished macro ecosystem that is exacerbated by microbial losses. Many evidences, indicate that, the soils are being degraded, etc. So the world is very uneven, is very unfair. We all know that. This is a map of the richest countries in orange, the most biodiverse in green, and both colors in the countries that are both rich economically and biodiversity as well. So what is an equitable approach to this imbalance? How can we connect these two worlds, the economically rich with the biodiversity rich, and transfer technology? How do we strengthen the capacity of the South to preserve their biodiversity, their microbial, in an extremely commercial space? Can a nonprofit do something that is valuable? So we published in 2018 the idea that if we, by industrializing, are losing diversity and increasing modern diseases, can we restore? Can we restore by providing the microbes that were lost? And would that stop or even regress the trend of these modern diseases? And this will require banking because microbial diversity is disappearing from everywhere. So we need to preserve microbes, rescue human traditional practices that were sustainable for biodiversity, including microbial. We need to improve bacterial cultivation because we don't know how to culture many things. We need to make global microbiome studies, and we need to learn how do we restore what has been damaged. One precedent of how to do this is the seed vault. The seed vault is a vault of seeds that is in Norway, in Svalbard, because agriculture is doing to plant diversity what medicine and modern practices is doing to microbes. So they decided to preserve the natural seeds. The seeds evolve, not genetically manipulated beyond the monocrops that we grow. So that is the basis of the microbiota vault. We want to also create a vault that will be useful for humanity for the future, to conserve the long health of humanity and the environment. And this is the principle. The principle is local working collections can request that the microbiota vault that is right now in Switzerland can maintain and cryopreserve a frozen sample. If we have the money, we can also sequence for free with the condition of open access. By publishing who is depositing, what is being deposited, and the gene content of the deposits, we think we will connect the local collections with scientists or with companies all over the world for them to do the science. We don't do the science. Our job is cryopreservation, but also training. And this is one of the examples, our Glomine. We coach people to write grants. We foster and help to create local collections. So we want to enable sharing protocols, educating, sharing sequencing data. We want to preserve a backup repository of the local collection, and we want to foster connection of the world for the world to do collaborations, research, and training opportunities and advance the science to restore. We care a lot about equity. We tackle that frontally. We want to empower local researchers and communities. We want to enable research. We don't do research directly. We published with indigenous people this paper about our thoughts of how can we explore ethically the microbiome of indigenous peoples. The board of director of the Microbiota Vault is very diverse, and there are important scientists here. We have 2 Nobel Prizes, Rich Roberts and James Heckman. And in red are the founder members, including myself. You will recognize some very well-known scientists, some of whom are giving talks in the Glomines. We have had over 100 collaborators, and in our pilot phase, 1,400 samples from 9 local collections. The pilot phase happened in Switzerland, gut and food, fermented foods, because of the funding that we found, but we want to expand to other body sites, other animals, soils, plants, waters, etc. The launch phase transited all the regulations, transport, storage, metadata, sequencing, etc. And we very recently reported in this perspective in Nature Communications, what is the Microbiota Vault. Glomines, like this one, this is the 5th one. The first one was in Peru, then Africa, Indonesia, and Chile, and this one is very international. And we have done a lot of media and outreach, a lot of visibility in different instances, including in the United Nations in New York. We were present in the COP16 of the United Nations that happened in Colombia last year. And we are now fighting so that the Species Survival Commission recognizes microbes as an entity that should be conserved. Not only the animals that are in danger of extinction, but their microbiomes. So we are using this visibility for fundraising and scaling the effort. We now are in growth phase 1, and Switzerland is our main repository. For now, we are a freezer in Zurich. We want to buy our own facility, and we are thinking in a redundant repository in a place that is cold, rich, supportive, and politically stable, and perceived as neutral, if that exists in the current world. And with that, I thank you for your attention, and I may have time for one question or two.